All right. Number 10. Here we go, Coach.
Number 10.
Number 10. 10 show. Welcome, everyone, to the Football in the Kitchen Sink, where we do as much football talk as we do the kitchen sink talk.
Pretty much. It balances out.
It balances out completely. So, welcome. I guess me and you are both in dark colors today. So, it's basically just a head talking with the black shirt and the black hat for you and the gray hat and the
Pretty much.
I guess it's navy shirt for me. So we'll jump right into it. Let's get right into it. First of all, I'm not used to doing this, but if you can, subscribe to our show, okay, and like our stuff because, as you know, with those algorithms and those bots out there, if we don't get those subscribes and those likes, if you like the show, please do it. Subscribe to it, like it, follow us if you can, because it definitely helps every little bit. If you like the show, make a comment, and we'd love to answer your questions on the show. We do it all the time. It's usually from comments and through our little chat screen here, but if we think it's a good question and it's legit and it'll spark a topic of debate, we'll definitely address it. So, but let's start the show. So yesterday we talked about a football youth coach at Georgia who basically assaulted one of his 9-year-old players, hitting him in the helmet. But he wasn't just hitting him in the helmet. He punched him in the helmet. The second one knocking him down. Has been banned for life. I'm guessing from the state of and let's pull up the article here. One of the big right away when we saw it, LeBron James jumped on it
right away,
and I think this is an area where his influence was used in a positive direction to cause action to be taken, because it was kind of clear until this video went viral. I'm not going to show the video again, but until the video went viral, it was pretty clear that he had apologized, and the organization kind of apologized for him, and not a whole lot maybe was going to be taken, or maybe it was already in the works. We don't know. But basically,
it looked like that was going to be the end of it.
It looked like that might have been the end of it. But basically, the article, and I'm pulling this up from CBS Sports. Georgia youth football coach has been banned for life from their league. Okay, so from his league, after video surfaced of assaulting a player during a game on Monday. The video showed the coach, 9 and under youth football team from Savannah, Georgia, striking a player twice in the helmet. It goes on. It was taking place. It was, as you said yesterday, it was taking place at AYF's national championship.
Okay.
And it was a complete breach of the organization's code of conduct. So I'm sure AYF, and it's interesting because the person named is different than the person we had as a name yesterday. So, let's see. It was identified man as Gerald Williams, which was different than what we had yesterday in the articles, if you remember. And Sheriff's Department saw responding officer contacting the mother. According to the officer's report, she was advised that she was aware of the events. Specifically stated she did not want to press charges. Following location, the video was posted. At the end of the day, I am not going to make excuses, Williams said. And that's a different name than what we had yesterday. I don't remember the name we had. We had a different name. So we apologize to whoever that coach was.
Whatever name that was. So, that's not fair. So we apologize to that.
But now, it's coming to life. It's Coach Williams, who was, and we got it from an article. Shows you how articles can be wrong and information can be incorrect. being banned for life, when so on and so forth. So bottom line is they're banning him for life. That stuff can't happen, and you can't punch a player. It's you can't punch a player, period. But then punching a 9-year-old, a little kid who's completely helpless,
Literally.
is kind of, it's just,
it's not like you're swinging on some pseudo adult that could swing back.
And it sounds like the mother just wants this whole thing to end. So by not pressing charges,
just go away.
Yeah, just go away. And so that takes a lot for mother to do that. I don't know that my lady would be as apt to be forgiving in that situation, but God bless her for being able to do that. Obviously, if something serious didn't happen out of it, injury wise or hurt wise, because if it did, they would have been
then obviously a different action probably would have been taken.
Absolutely. So pretty good by AYF on taking action on this. Maybe it was because of the viral video. Whatever the case, they were able to take action on it. So kudos to them.
I would have to think that the publicity of it obviously pushed the envelope a little bit. When you have people like LeBron James tweeting about it, in a manner like that, and bringing more awareness to it, I think that changes the dynamics of it a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
An unfortunate situation in any way, shape, or form. Let's hope that it's a foundation and a learning basis for people to go forward and just realize that this is kind of something that's not acceptable. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So moving on from that,
let's hope we don't ever have to talk about anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you'll have issues where people do stuff like that from time to time. You do every single year, but definitely it's important to bring it to light. Next one, we got a big game this weekend, Army Navy. What are your picks for this weekend with Army Navy?
I think it's been, traditionally recently. I know Army got a win a couple years ago, but I think Navy has kind of been the dominant in at least the time that I can remember in this rivalry, as far as the Army Navy game. It's hard to make a pick in the fact that you kind of always root for both sides to kind of win and do well. Ultimately, you kind of just want to see a good game, which usually it is with similar types of offenses and things of that nature. The one thing that I like, sidestepping the make a pick thing, is that it's just how physical the game is itself. These guys are flying around, smacking each other. You know what I mean? That's what I really like about it, is the idea that you got guys at schools where maybe, the physical size of the players isn't exactly what a Division I program standard would live up to. But these guys still play the game at a very high level. It's usually a football game in which you're looking at two offenses, in order to stop that, you need to have disciplined defenses, which I love to see in guarding it. But I guess I'm always pulling for Army in a way. I don't know. I guess I'm just more of an Army type of guy. Always have been. The game being at Army, whether there's fans allowed or not, I think plays a little bit of a role. Normally we said it's played in Philadelphia, so that'll be a little bit of a switch up for it. But just an overall good game, good, in general, just something exciting for a lot of people to watch. Maybe bring some type of normalcy to end this 2022 year. And just, mutual respect on both sides of these guys, for both sides of this game. But I'll pull for an Army win.
So since this rivalry started, they've had, and you're right, they've had different locations for the games. So for a long time, I don't know where that stadium is, but it was. They have Philadelphia has been hosted 89 times, New York City 11, Baltimore 6, East Rutherford 4, West Point 3, Annapolis 3, Princeton once, Chicago once, Pasadena once, Landover, Maryland once. So this will be the fourth time it's been held at West Point. Since it's been the three other times it was held at West Point, the last one being in 1943, all three times that's been held at West Point, Navy won.
Oh,
so that's interesting. And then it feels like when they played at Philadelphia, Navy has a slight edge, 45-40. New York City Army has a slight edge, 7-3. So it'll be interesting.
what is the overall series at?
The overall series record is Navy leads 61-52 with 7 ties.
61-52 Navy.
Right. And for a long time, if you remember, from 2002 to 2015, Navy had won. So
Right.
it was 13, 14 years in a row. Then
that's why when I opened up, I say, when you look at it from the time that I've been aware of it, it's been a Navy dominated series up until a few years ago when out of nowhere kind of Army pulled out a W and it was like, oh,
And then flipped it the next 2 years. So they won 3 in a row, Army. And then Navy won last year in a blowout. If you remember, Navy had the quarterback last year that was an absolute bullet. Can't remember his name, but I
actually think he may have got a shot in the NFL as a receiver.
I would not be surprised if that was the case. They definitely have had the best player to field last year, Navy. So it was just Army could handle. So it's definitely one of the best. I think the best rivalry in football for the history for different reasons than some of the other rivalries. So pretty cool. Philly's obviously been its normal home. This time it will be at West Point. Largest victory was by Navy in 1973, 51-0. The longest win streak is Navy, 14 years, which we know, 2002 to 2015. And so that's a lot of years. Great game at Mikey Stadium, MIHIE Stadium. Let's see how many players each side has from New Jersey. Army's roster.
Oh, I like that.
Let's see what we got here.
That's another thing I think that adds to the game itself is a lot of, college teams or whatever have a bulk of where most of the players on their roster are from. But you look at these two rosters and you literally have players from all over the country. All
over the country. So on Army's team, which is based in New York, there are, and right across the way, there are 3 players from New Jersey. Isn't that interesting? There's only 3 players from New Jersey.
Just shows you how tough it is, man.
3, am I right? Is that 3?
If you got to think about what it takes to get into one of these academies.
Well, it's very difficult to get in. It's like graduating from an Ivy League school. You got to be a heck of a football player. Actually, there's 4. So there's one from St. Joe's Regional, Jimmy Charlo, who actually I know his father. Then another one from Hillside. Another one from Union City. And Mater Dei. But they got players from everywhere.
Literally
everywhere. Okay, so that's that. Navy. Let's see Navy football, who they have. right, Navy football roster. Navy has, and these guys have a lot of guys on the team too, by the way. Navy as player from Don Bosco Prep.
Mm-hmm.
Brennan, I think you know that already.
Yeah.
Masai Maynor plays for Navy.
St. Peter's.
That's 2. Romaine Robinson from Don Bosco. Well, he's actually technically from New York. He went to school.
But high school wise is Bosco.
Yeah, so 3.
So Bosco, Peters.
So we got 3. We got Jackson Mitchell from Paramus Catholic is 4. And Pete Nestrowitz, I don't know how you say it, but Nestrowitz, also from Paramus Catholic, is 5. Chris Pearson from Teaneck is 6. That's it, 6. And again, they have players.
You're looking at 10 guys that went to 10 guys, say 9 from New Jersey that are going to be playing in this game. That's pretty awesome.
And you're going to have the vaunted triple option coming from both teams, which is what
both sides.
Now, this year, Navy has struggled. So,
well, you saw them get blown out in the beginning of the year by BYU. So national wise, you know, they didn't really have a good showing to start it off, but normally Navy is the team that's kind of the better of the two, I would believe, on their schedules.
Not the last few years. Normal up until a few years ago, yes. So Navy's 3-6 this year. Army is 7-2.
That's right. Army's been
the record means nothing in this game.
Absolutely not.
Means absolutely nothing.
0.
Okay, so our first quiz of the day, okay, is Heisman Trophy winners. Can you name?
Oh gosh,
Army's Heisman Trophy winners. They've had 3. Am I right? 1, 2, 3. No one more recent than 1958, and one was, I believe, a senator from New Jersey, or yeah, I think it was senator in New Jersey. Do you have any clue?
0.
They had you ever heard of like Mr. Inside and Mr. Outside?
Right, I've heard of that, but I wouldn't. I still wouldn't know names.
Okay, so
you're talking what year? 1950 what?
1945 and then 1946. So the
1945
first 2, and then 1958 was their latest one.
Both from Army?
Yeah, Army's won the Heisman 3 times. So the first one was Doc Blanchard, who I wonder, is he Mr. Outside? Little Doc, let's see.
And that's for 1945.
1945. Let me see what they call, if he was the one that was called Mr. Yeah, okay. So Doc Blanchard, he was called Mr. Inside. He won the Heisman of 45. This is their backfield, by the way. And 46 was won by Glenn Davis, who was known as Mr. Outside. So they were on the same team. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, you think? That's pretty nasty.
Yeah, that's pretty nasty, right? Doc Blanchard scored and I have a question for you too, and I'm not sure. I have to look it up, but there may be another tandem group that won the Heisman Trophy. I'm not 100% sure. I gotta look that up. But he had 38 touchdowns in his 3 season there, and then Glenn Davis he scored 59 touchdowns in his career. Average 8.3 yards per carry over his career. And you ready for this? In 1945, he averaged 11.5 yards a carry. He was called Mr. Outside.
Wow.
Pete Dawkins who I'm pretty sure was a senator. Yes, he was a senator. Oh, you'll love this. Okay. Pete Dawkins in 1988 established residence in Rumson, New Jersey.
Oh, great.
Oh, he didn't know he lost. He was a candidate as an unsuccessful challenge to Frank Lautenberg for the seat in the United States Senate. That's interesting. But he lost. And he won the Heisman Trophy in 1958. 1958. Wow, he was CEO of Primerica Insurance. Okay, so he was a pretty successful guy. I would guess if you were going to be the let's see, if has Navy had anyone that's won the Heisman Trophy?
No, probably not, right?
I think they had one. I'm right. Okay, they had one. Joe Bellino in 1960, the Winchester rifle. He won the Heisman Trophy. He rushed for, in his career, he rushed for not that many yards. I guess his Heisman Trophy year, he rushed for 834 yards and 15 touchdowns, 3 pass reception for touchdowns. He also played baseball on Navy's teams.
Perfect.
There you go. So there are Heisman trophies.
So 3-1 Heisman trophies.
Yep. How many players?
Navy has the overall series. So what do you take? Do you take a Heisman trophy or do you take winning the series?
That can't be right because didn't Roger Staubach win the Heisman Trophy? Or maybe he didn't.
Apparently not.
Roger Staubach. Heisman? I thought he did. Let me see. Roger Staubach. Yeah, he won the Heisman Trophy also. Okay. So I guess he's the second player. Let's see if there's more. Maybe I'm wrong here. Roger Staubach won in 1963, obviously went on to play with the Cowboys.
Well, of course you would know that.
Of course. But Roger the Dodger, he was a great athlete. It's interesting the numbers are so different from back then to now. He also played baseball at Navy for a brief time. Roger Staubach. So Bellino and Staubach are their Heisman Trophy winners. There you go. There's a little trivia for you.
Now, mascots. Army what? Golden Knights?
I never won the Heisman, unfortunately, Chris. And neither Coach D. I'm sorry.
3 Heisman.
What's that? So what'd you say?
I said mascots. Army Golden Knights.
Or the mule, the Navy midshipman.
That's what. That's it. But the mascots are actually different, right? Like
it's like a thing with
a goat.
Yeah, I think it's a goat. Yeah. I like the Army cadet, the cadets, the Black Knights, man. I agree. And our man Chris Latrella, same thing. That's why. What do you think? I think they have the better match. I like their uniforms too when they come out with the like that charcoal black look that they have. I think but the Navy uniforms are nice. Navy's had some sick helmets over the years.
Yeah, they're like that. Sometimes they're like marble.
Yeah, they've had some sick ones.
And I don't know if it was last year or the year before. They had like it was a jet. It was like a plane, like I don't know, something.
Right, because they have a lot of fighter pilots because they're on the aircraft carriers.
You and I are both uniform guys. We love some of the things that's a lot. We think a uniform could do a lot for a program in general, and this game always brings out like the tops of the tops.
Well, I think it definitely helps with recruiting. It helps players wanting to definitely go there. I mean, the fact that they invest the money in making their uniform so unique each time. Here, I try to think if this is this year's. And then here we go. There we go. Let's pull a couple of these up. These are great.
I was going to say that would be something to look at. These
would be great
uniforms in this game year to year.
Yep.
I'm
here. He's ready for his guest spot already.
Dude, that is the best entrance ever.
All right. So Troy, you got to hang a couple minutes. Go play, and then we'll call you over, okay?
Juliet's here.
Okay, so after you got to tell her that you have to do your guest segment. Should we have Juliet on the segment too?
No.
All right.
Chris is right. He says here there's always a story behind the uniforms. He's right, and this year the Army is doing it's a specific infantry unit or a division or it's one of those breakdowns, which is awesome.
Well,
there's
Army is the tank division this year,
right? There's always a story behind it, which is so cool.
So this one was one of my favorite ones. Let's see if
was that the one right there? Is that the fighter jet?
Here we go. So we got something a little bit of through the years here. So I guess this is Navy's uniform. Can you see it on the screen there?
Yeah.
For 2020, a little more, almost looks a little bit like LSU's. They also have their own. They have their own, I guess, masks this year with it. Yeah, this is pretty cool. This is different. Can you see that on the screen?
Yeah.
Kind of has like a LSU feel to it now.
A little bit.
I mean, the helmets are pretty. Those are pretty nice. Those are pretty nice helmets.
I like the fact that it's a team thing, but there's somewhat of an individuality, that's involved in it.
Like I always do.
Well, not right now. We're still on Army Navy segment. We'll be done in 2 or 3 minutes, and then we're going to do right into the book segment. Hello, Juliet. Boy, it's getting to be a crowded studio.
You got a busy place over there.
So, these helmets are. Look at the one on the left here. I guess that's the old. They've taken it off the old time one. The anchor. See that? I
like the anchor. I like an anchor in general. I just think it's a cool symbol in general.
And then you got let's see, the one right. Remember this game? This game was a great game. I mean, that's football to me.
Well, you like this game too in general because there's a fullback on both sides.
We can do the Christmas songs today.
No, today we're doing books.
But you said Christmas songs.
We'll do Christmas songs Monday.
Okay.
All right. This is the one I thought was really cool. This was 2015. The battleship. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I mean, these helmets are elite level, man.
If you think about it, if you're the endorsing companies for these schools, a lot more is into it. I believe you have Nike on one side with Army, and then you have Under Armour at Navy. So, if you think about it, this is probably your best opportunity to showcase what you have in terms of, dialing up a uniform per year. Everybody's going to be watching this game. There's a lot more behind it, and things of that's going to go into the uniform. There's a lot more pride and all that kind of stuff that goes into it as well. So I would think if you're Nike or Under Armour, you probably relish in this game. And look, you're going to be doing a lot to try and get this one right. If you got to hit on one throughout the entire year, I think it's this one.
Wow. These are. This is this year's, I think.
And Chris, I think you are right, buddy. And what you're saying is
25th infantry, the Wolfhound.
Whether it was a year-by-year thing, but like he said, each helmet does have some individuality to it. As I think, depending on the company or what division within their school or rank or things like that, sometimes goes into the helmet itself and is displayed as well. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I think this is this year's for the Army, which is to honor the 25th Infantry Division Wolfhounds, whose soldiers defended a foothold on the Korean Peninsula in 1950. An Army inspiration for our uniforms this year. That's pretty cool, from the Korean War. So that is some cool stuff. We look forward to that game tomorrow. And Troy, you ready to do your segment? So let's get that knocked out while we have you here.
Okay.
All right, we'll jump around the schedule before we go to Cam Newton. Oh, hey, oh, now let her sit. You guys sit together. All right, she can sit next to you. Come on, Juliet, sit right here. Juliet, no, okay. All right, so here we go. We got our three favorite books. Books. Hold on. Coach D goes first all the time. Okay, you go second, I go third. All right, he leads us off. He's the leadoff leg in the 4x1.
Now, when we're talking top books, are we talking overall books? Are we talking specifics, or what how did we dial this up? Because I got a list that just goes.
Okay, well let's.
Don't throw my stuff around.
All right, stop it. You can't be on the show if we're focused on other things. Okay, so here we go. Let's go in general. I mean, like, do you have three favorite books, or you keep it in the most?
Yeah, so here I'll do it like this. Okay, so I kind of broke it up like coaching / motivational. I got one that's like coaching / motivational. I got two. I said a school book, which was basically a book that you probably read in school. Yes, Sal, you're right.
Yeah.
And then I kind of just had, ones that I've just whatever. So in no particular order, when it comes to like, a coaching / motivational book, obviously Dave Goggins, the Can't Hurt Me book, phenomenal. Definitely at the top of my list. He's just an inspiration in general. So that's where I'll start off with Goggins, Can't Hurt Me.
Great book, inspirational. The fact that he, how many times did it take him to become a Navy SEAL?
Just the fact that he
I think it was the last time
weight to do it.
Yeah, from losing from 300 pounds. All right, Troy, your book. Go ahead, big guy.
Frosty Snowman.
Frosty the Snowman makes an appearance again. Wow.
Frosty seems to be a staple over at that house.
Frosty does it big, I guess. Frosty does it big. I don't think we have to expand too much on Frosty's influence in everybody's lives, but at some point he has influenced all of us. Okay. My number 3 book is Friday Night Lights.
I thought you were going to say Frosty.
No, Friday Night Lights.
Friday Night Lights book, I think, is better than the movie.
I think it's H.G. Bissinger. That book.
1988 Permian, right?
I read it when I was in high school.
As did I.
The movie, the series by the series, which is based off of the book. It's not the book story, but the series with I can't think of the name of the actor is fantastic. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's amazing. I was addicted to that series for a long time. The movie, which is one of the better football movies, but it doesn't do it justice. It doesn't even do.
It does a great job. Don't get me wrong. It does a very good job.
Book,
but compared to the book, absolutely not.
No, right. Okay. All right. Number 2, Coach D. Yes, required reading, definitely. Chris, you're 100%.
100%. Another great football book that was, and this is on my list, just piggybacking off you, Bleachers.
Bleachers, fantastic book. 120 pages only.
Quick read. Real quick read.
All right, easy.
I feel like that should be a required reading almost for every high school football player in the country. Are you playing referee?
I'll play.
Always let me
Grab that chair right there. That same thing Troy's sitting on.
down.
Oh no, he doesn't let you down. Wait till you guys are teenagers. Okay.
My
Then the real games begin.
Is it my turn?
All right, Troy, your turn. So Bleachers, by the way, fantastic book about a coach who the players had. Hold on, Troy. About a coach
An issue.
that the players had they all thought they had a dislike for, but realized they had that there were lessons that he was teaching them and the appreciation. And he had regret for his mistake that he made as much as they felt like they had misunderstood kind of his intentions. Great book about people in general, but it happens to have football.
And the
All
way
right.
it's like the setting of it, the way it's presented, and the fact that this coach is now kind of to set the state. The state is this coach is now pretty much on his deathbed, and you have a bunch of his players. I mean, this guy was a legendary coach at the school for years and years and generations of football players, and you have each generation of football players now. Some of these guys are coming back, and they're sitting in the bleachers of their former field and reminiscing on the stories about this coach that is basically on his deathbed. So I just think the way that it's summed up and the way that it's presented like that is just an excellent way to go about it, and that any high school football player can relate.
Okay, Troy.
You're up, Troy.
Daniel
Tiger's 5-minute stories.
Daniel Tiger's 5-minute stories. I love it. That's a good one. That's actually something I did not expect. That is that is all right. You guys stop fighting. That is an excellent book.
You're not doing anything.
Oh, and Luke chiming in here for our listeners. Mr. Poliandro, who I coached his son at Indian Hills, who's over at Springfield, he came up with a book that made a big difference of the 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership. I've never read that book. That's one that I'm gonna have to put down as for me to check out. All right, Troy, we have to work on some of these things here. Okay, so now we'll go to my second favorite book.
Oh, I already know what you're going to say.
Well, what do you think I'm going to say?
Football book.
No, you're wrong in this case. You're actually wrong. Okay, I'm going to give you the book. It's from Tony Robbins, Unlimited Power. Have you ever read that book?
No.
I have read Tony Robbins, but I don't think that one is one that I read.
Now, there's a few of his, and it's there's a few I really like, but that one's really good. It's one of his early ones. It kind of outlines basically it's personal power, things you need to do,
right,
and that kind of stuff. Which really can help you. Oh, this is interesting. Fit for Heaven by Trent Beatty. You get Chris. Chris gave me a good one here. All right, hold on 1 second, Juliet. We'll be right with you. Okay. All right. Part
it's very rough
podcast. It's
rough over there.
Pull up a seat, Juliet. You can certainly come on over here. All right, now we go to our. Come on over here. You want to sit over by me? All right.
Oh boy.
Take a quick TO here.
It's getting brutal over there.
We'll let you chime in on your number one while I referee.
It's just there's a lot there. Look, to limit this down to three is so difficult for me because I do like to read. I have upped the reading in a couple years. So I like sometimes to go back to think about books that impacted me, reading while I was still in school. And there's 3 main books, but 3 books that I read while I was a student that I think and I hope are still part of high school curriculum. To Kill a Mockingbird sounds so cliche, but absolute amazing book. You're talking about you're talking about racism. You're talking about just a lot of big time things addressed and presented at such a young age to students. Lord of the Flies is another one.
Lord of the Flies is a great book.
And then so I mean, like those are just those are 2, and then the third one being The Odyssey by Homer, which is just as a history guy, Greek mythology, those types of things that that's probably as far into the fantasy world as I go. Obviously it's related to somewhat history, but those 3 go into my while in school reading impactful list. But one of the book that I did want to mention is The Boys in the Boat by Daniel James Brown. And that is this story of a crew team in the 1920s, early 30s out of the University of Washington, about this crew team put together by a coach that ultimately goes over to Germany and competes in the Olympics. And it's just a great story.
That had the movie? Was that he ends up going in he goes in the internment camp? Is that the book?
No, that is Unbroken by Laura Hill. Another one that's on my list, but
Biscuit is on my list.
Okay, yeah, but the Boys in the Boat, it's a slower read, but it's a longer book. But if it's a great message about teammates and sacrifice and doing your part for a bigger picture and all that kind of good stuff. But just a phenomenal book, The Boys in the Boat, Daniel James Brown.
Taking off and going upstairs.
But I want to hear.
Tell me your book. I need your number 2. Number 1. I'm sorry. Number 1.
5 More Sleeps Till Christmas.
What is it?
5 More Sleeps Till Christmas.
5 More Sleep. Have you read that one, Juliet? 5 More Sleeps Till Christmas. I have not read that one either. That must be a new one that you have, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. What makes that book so good?
What was that?
Oh, that might be another friend at the door. Go get it. Let's go. You guys are upstairs. All right. Thank you for our special guest, Troy Juliet. It was nice having you. And now we go to my final book. I don't know. I'm going to have to get a new time slot for us for this podcast. You guys are upstairs. You guys are.
I want to hear your last one.
Oh, okay. My favorite book of all time. No one is going to get it. Let me just
see. I can't pick like a one, and you know what I mean. Like every book has its own. You know what I mean, man.
The 5 people that I think it's called The 5 People You Meet in Heaven. Yeah.
Oh, great book.
Yep. The 5 people that you meet in heaven. There was one time I was knocking out Mitch Albom books like it was my job on airplanes. But The 5 People You Meet in Heaven is a really, really insightful book. A good look at
What did you say?
religion, and it's also a some of the questions you have about yourself on earth and how you should act, echoing in heaven. And it's inspirational too to do
if that's your number 1, then I'm going to highly suggest reading John Gordon's newest one, The Garden.
Yeah. Well, we just tweeted about that today.
That was The Energy Bus. Yeah, I read that one. That was one of his first ones. The Energy Bus is phenomenal, but his newest one, The Garden, that he just came out with, I want to say this year, it's very spiritual based, religion based, things of that nature. It's really good.
Yeah, so that we got through that segment. Took us a little longer than normal, but I really like Bleachers. I think is a great one. I really like that one. I mean, if you go into some historical books, that like, I don't know if everybody's read them, but like, there's Gone with the Wind is a great book. I don't know if anyone's ever read that.
I mean, that's why I threw like you're talking Lord of the Flies, you're talking To Kill a Mockingbird, The Outsiders, right? Like
Mockingbird is one of the few books that the movie is just as powerful. Have you ever seen the movie, the black and white movie?
One of the greatest movies ever. You know,
you can watch that movie in any time period and feel the emotion of
who's the guy that plays the father is Gregory Peck.
Yeah. Yep. He plays.
And you know who actually is? I got to look it up because the character, the actor who plays Boo Radley.
Oh yeah, that's
what's his name?
He's a famous actor. He's so young at the time.
So young.
I might have to look it up.
I'm gonna run him right now. Robert Duvall. Great actor.
And Chris had mentioned earlier that I didn't show, and I realized I didn't show the Army, the Army uniforms from earlier. I think I missed that boat. I was showing the Navy, but then I didn't show the Army uniforms. Is that it? There it is, right there, for this year.
Yeah, just the like the stuff they do to show off the uniforms, the unveilings, and all that stuff. I mean, look, how much tougher does it get than a dude in front of a tank?
I think we covered our books. Definitely something special, those uniforms. And I'm trying to get a little closer to Mike so you hear less of the extracurricular activity that's going on around me. So hopefully everybody else can hear the same. I'm not trying to bite the microphone. It's just that I'm trying to shield you from the extracurricular in the studio / playpen that we have downstairs here. Just some of the kinks into our studio comes in is fully finished, and furnished. Once that happens, then we'll be in good shape. I like that Chris says, "Do you have any reading assignments for our team?" That's a good idea. Probably should have it. I think we have to start with the playbook. So start with the playbook and then go from there.
I think Bleachers should be a read. You know what I mean? Bleachers, I think that's one of those books. Because it's also a quick read. It's not, most, if not all, high school, kids should be able to understand that book on both the initial level and, the more they look into it. It's just one of those. It's just one of those books that's kind of a real quick read.
I'm curious, and while we're on this kind of topic, do you have a favorite football series, like a series that is surrounded around like football, or actually I'll even say sports, because I don't know if there's a million series that are surrounded around football, but sports that you liked? I can think of two off the top of my head that I loved. One I mentioned earlier, Friday Night Lights, which you may not have. You were probably in college when that first came out. The series. So you're talking
about like a TV show?
TV show. I have two that were around sports, and they both are around high school. Number one for me is Friday Night Lights. Number two was One Tree Hill. Do you remember that?
Yeah, basketball.
One Tree Hill. That was a great series.
Does the show Coach go with that?
Coach, there you go. Fantastic. That was like, what was that? The early 2000s or the 90s?
Oh, dude, that had to be 90s.
My favorite thing about the Coach show, first
was the assistant.
Jerry Van Dyke was the greatest.
Yeah,
Jerry Van Dyke. Oh my God! But then the big blonde hair guy too, who was
he was supposed to be like the line coach, right?
Yeah. Yep. And it's funny, and I remember the athletic director was like like they had him as like a not the athletic the band director. It wasn't the athletic director. The band director.
That's
remember?
pretty,
Like,
that's pretty cool. I never even thought to think about some of that stuff.
Yeah, the band
TV
director.
show.
Like, he was always making fun of him.
Right.
Oh, he was always making fun of the band director, but he was his friend. You know what I mean? But he was like always making fun of him. He would come in wanting like practice time for the band, and he'd throw him out and stuff like that.
Well, it's just kind of funny because you look at that now, and it would be like, ooh.
Absolutely, really funny, and he'd always go out to the cabin after the cabin was always the big place that he was always at after the games. And you know what school he coached and the coach coached? Do you know what the name of the school was? Minnesota State. It was not University of Minnesota. It was Minnesota State. So that's it.
I'm looking at a list right here of top 10, the 10 best TV shows of all time. 10 best sports TV shows of all time. One Tree Hill is number 10. This is a USA Today article from 2018.
Oh, I'll give you the greatest. I'll give you number one right now. Guarantee it. I'll guarantee I have
One Tree Hill is number 10, brother.
I'll give you number one. The White Shadow.
A recent one.
The White Shadow.
That's on here.
What number is the White Shadow?
That's a recent one. White Shadow is Coach is number 5 on this list. The White Shadow is number 4.
Number 4 is Friday Night Lights on there?
No, number 1.
I'm sorry. What was it? You cut out there quickly.
Friday Night Lights is number 1 on this list.
Oh, Friday Nights is number 1. Okay. What's number 2? Let me see if I can get number 2.
I've never heard of number 2.
Number 2, you never heard of.
Sports Night?
Oh, Sports Night. It must be cable.
ESPN's 30 for 30 is number 3. I don't know if that's a show or so much of a documentary. Eastbound and Down.
Did you see that?
No.
It's hilarious.
Number 8 and 9, I'm definitely fans of. They're more recent. Number 9 is Ballers. That was on HBO. Speaking of another one on HBO, Arliss.
Good. What was?
You remember Arliss?
Arliss was great. Is that on there? Is that 9?
No, that's not on there. But number 8, I don't know if you've seen it. It's a Netflix series, Glow, about women's wrestling in the 80s.
No.
Awesome Netflix series. Pretty good.
You watched it. Okay.
Yeah. That's why I said those 2 are more recent. But that was just a list from USA Today I just pulled up. Arliss wasn't on there, but that's one I do remember.
I love Arliss. Arliss was hilarious. And they would have all the guests, the guests and stuff like that. And you really got like a good insight into
I just like that Arliss himself was probably one of my favorite characters in a movie, too. Assistant baseball coach in Bull Durham.
I didn't realize that he was, yes. Wow.
He runs out onto the mound, when they're having this big thing and they're talking about we can't figure out, what we're going to get so-and-so for their bridal party. And he goes, candlesticks make a good gift. And, good movie. But let's get into our sports movies again. We're not going back there.
No. We got our sports series. So let's talk about the Patriots last night.
I can't.
What's wrong with the Patriots?
I'll tell you what's wrong with the Patriots is
the only thing I saw that, and I'd run the highlights first here, but every time I run the highlights, we get demonetized on YouTube. Not that we have that many viewers yet to worry about it, but it lessens your reach if you use the NFL's content. But the long and the short of it is, the play that bothered me is the interception that went for a touchdown, where he doesn't even chase. He kind of like half-heartedly chases,
Which pisses me off because he's probably the best athlete, if not one of the best athletes on the field, and could easily have chased that guy down, especially because the type of interception it was, where it was like, just kind of a nonchalant throw to I believe it was a back in the flats, and it wasn't like it was a pick six where he did it.
Screenplay.
Right. It's not like the guy picked it and was out and had the angle. Like Cam could have easily gone and done. And let me tell you something about ever since the Super Bowl where Cam Newton fumbled and then went to go grab the fumble and then pulled away. Do you remember the play specifically that I'm talking about? A lot of people remember, and they questioned him a ton. I have done the same thing, and I've never looked at him the same after that. I just, he comes across like he's this whatever, but he's not a dog, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, in my eyes, he may be, for as big as he is, as athletic as he is, I don't ever see him push and use all that. He's a great talker. He's this, he's that, but I just never see it, man. And it really bothers me. And to me, Bill Belichick, like, he went out on a limb for this guy, like he had a pretty devastating injury. He rehabbed, he worked hard to get back. And there was a reason that he went unsigned for so long. He may, and then Belichick kind of goes out of his way, signs this guy. And to me, it's like, he's not keeping up his end of the deal.
I didn't sign him for a lot. And it was interesting because a lot of people were complaining that he didn't get that much money because he had won a Super Bowl. And, I've not won a Super Bowl. I mean, got to the Super Bowl.
You don't deserve it.
No. So, he had an incentive-based contract. If he earned his incentives, then he would have made a boatload. I just think I think Cam Newton enjoys being a celebrity as much as he does being a star quarterback.
He loves walking.
I don't think he's a bad guy. He's I think he's a decent. Like, originally got a kind of a rap because the whole thing with the money coming out of college and stuff, and did he take money or what? First of all, we went through it yesterday. His highlight tape in junior college when he left Florida, and I told quickly the story yesterday to Coach D about. His father had sent me, I don't remember if it was Twitter or Facebook, but he'd sent me over his highlight tape when he was at Blinn Junior College. And I was basically like, send it to whoever you want. You don't get offered. You don't have to worry about some of the issues in the past, which is basically what happened. His highlight tape is like nothing I've ever seen. Like, he literally takes the ball and just like easy scramble and takes off 70 yards, just kind of like outrunning everybody at 6'6", 250. So
yeah, the highlight tapes look something out of like a youth game where you just toss it to the kid and he kind of just runs around the edge and just beats everybody with speed. He pretty much did that on every single play for that JUCO highlight tape. I mean, he's a freak. Don't get me wrong. He's an absolute freak, but I just don't understand, I just don't really understand him. And look, he came out of the gates blazing. Whether this COVID thing is actually having more of an effect physically and mentally on people than the actual artistic show, you know what I mean? Maybe it does have a lot of,
COVID thing, forget the disease definitely has some level of effect, but the effect of playing, not playing, every player is a little bit different. And, we talked about this yesterday.
Oh, he's different.
Some players don't do well when they've got to constantly go back and forth, and they're just not in the same rhythm all the time.
Right. Everybody, some guys need a routine,
and some guys can just go dial it up. Like, it really depends on the person, and it doesn't. I'll tell you who's struggling with the COVID thing more than any team, and this is college football. LSU. Not just because the disease or anything, like, they've already had all their players that had it, but just managing this whole process
right.
and
to me,
their players and it Not even, I'm not even talking about wins and losses. Obviously, they're not winning as much as they normal, but just the way, like, they don't seem to have the handle on it. Like, I mean, look, Nick Saban's going to have a handle on it, but like, you don't seem to have the same handle. Nick Saban, when he couldn't coach, the whole team was still operating, without a problem.
Let me give you my 2 cents on that. Okay, so that tells me that you're looking at LSU. Yeah, they won a national championship. That's great. In order to sustain winning, right, your culture and the foundations of your program need to be in place. And that's what you see. That's the extreme difference you see with an Alabama in comparison to an LSU. LSU can come in, lightning can strike, bam, national championship.
Right.
But now you look at the things that are going on where now you kind of have to, you need something, some foundation to rely on when everything else is kind of being thrown at you and situations are presenting itself where you got to do things on the fly. And Alabama's a prime example, man. I mean, you lose your head coach for an entire week, a game, and you still go out there and win and do it in the manner that is a staple of Alabama football. That tells me that there's a culture in place and that the program is where it is, and can continue to be where it is and play at that high level. That's the comparison.
Absolutely. Yeah, I could name some other programs that so Alabama's one that's winning a ton. That I think is handled well. LSU strikes me as one that isn't. I think Rutgers, who isn't winning a ton, but has handled it very well, right? They've played more games than any other team in the Big Ten. And I think even though their program is not yet on firm footing as far as wins and losses and all that kind of stuff, it's a situation where they know where they're going. You know what I mean? So the mission is clear, right?
Ohio State,
right? And you would, I think you would expect that. I even think programs like Pittsburgh, which is like a middle kind of the road, they're usually win more than they're losing, but they're not winning national championships or anything like that.
Oh, that brings up did you see the post-game handshake?
Yeah. So let's play it. This one we can play. We'll go to my Twitter for it.
That's who, Pat Narduzzi at Pitt, and I loved him, hearing him speak when he was at Temple, at Georgia Tech. He's at Georgia Tech now.
Jeff Collins. So Jeff Collins is in what, year 2 or 3?
I want to say 2.
Let's see if this is it. Okay. So I'll preface it with, I don't know anything personally about either guy. So I have no allegiance, no, obviously Rutgers being my home state, I have a little bit of, root for that, so, but here, Georgia Tech, Pittsburgh, I have nothing there. I just thought that this was, what is this about?
We're going to effort an interview with Davis. Oh.
Hey, the cops and security guys seem like they're cool.
Yeah, they did seem cool. The assistants is shaking hands.
The assistants seem good.
The game was a 34-20 game. I don't really get it. You know what I'm saying? I don't really get, it wasn't like one team won 70-7, and they
it wasn't a blowout situation. It wasn't a you embarrassed me type of thing. Who knows? I mean, there's a lot of things that go on in a game that, and some coaches see certain things one way, some see another, but I don't know, man. When stuff like that happens, now you question, and it's kind of like, oh, what's going on? What's behind the scenes? Is there something? Did we miss something
between the two of them?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Who knows? Head coaches can be awfully interesting specimens, especially in I don't know, in the heat of the moment. I don't know, but to me, that's just that's whatever. I don't know. I don't know if there's any, unless something happened like, out in the, I don't know. I don't know if there's any grounds for that, especially,
It just seems
strange, very strange.
Actually, he probably shouldn't even have, if he was mad at him.
Why even go over there?
Why go over there? Just give him a wave and keep walking, right?
Right.
Give him a wave. Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
coach. See you later. That's the easiest way to handle that. Why bother go give him like the, as we would say, the dead fish handshake and moving away,
Or just bulletin board material for anything,
Yeah. I don't know. And
I don't even know if this is, a regular, let's see, they're both ACC teams, right? So do they see each other every year? It's not a rivalry. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. Interesting though. More material for us to talk about.
And and speaking of like the disease, how BYU has approached everything, I love. And I'm sure Coastal's the same way. They just decided they're going to attack everything and deal with things on the fly, and it's allowed their players to just focus on doing the best they can on the field and not have to worry about
all the other nonsense,
the burden of the disease. I think that now, I don't know as much about Coastal other than obviously they're winning, they're playing great, but just BYU's been much in the press about it because they were the one team that went against the grain out in the Mountain West long before everybody else, like the Pac-10. Everybody else had shut down. Mountain West had shut down.
Right. They said, forget it. Let's just go.
Let's play. And they were lining up opponents. They lost their whole entire schedule.
Can you imagine whoever that guy is, athletic director, whoever's responsible for that at BYU, that person, a raise, a promotion, a bonus, something, because to put together an entire season of games is, some people are, you look at some of these schools, they got games scheduled already for 2033. You know what I mean?
Right.
Here these guys are putting together a game by game, and making things work. And then whoever's under them logistically to handle travel and all that kind of stuff,
yeah, they had 48 hours to get the uniforms and everything.
That's what I'm saying. Before you even get to coaching X's and O's,
they didn't know if they would make it there. They weren't sure. It was like,
let's just make sure my helmet and shoulder pads are there.
All right, the fastest turnaround they ever had. So, there's definitely kudos there. Texas A&M's done really well in this process. Of course, they're winning. And I do think that the establishment LSU sticks out as a sore thumb.
Because they've gone from the highest of the highs to basically the lowest of the lows in this year.
I saw him speak. So here's what's interesting. I saw this is right before the whole shutdown. I saw both Ed Orgeron and Dabo Sweeney speak at the same clinic.
That's right.
And first of all, both were fantastic. Dabo Sweeney's they both talked about their culture and their program. Both were phenomenal on that. Ed Orgeron gave a full D-line clinic. It was unbelievable. And that's
I can't believe you understood him.
I've been to the Cajun area, so I've had
some crawfish and some gumbo.
Have you had crawdaddies before?
Never.
What? Oh,
I've never had gumbo.
Yeah. So for many years, now we have a team that runs our Louisiana camps, but I was the guy that went and ran the Louisiana camps. We first started 2007, 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, but there was a reason you kept going back. There had to be.
I loved it. And first of all, I love the kids down there. Like, they're competitors. They're great athletes, and they're competitors, and they love the game. I used to call it like Little Texas. That's what it reminded me of. And the area, so Baton Rouge and New Orleans, but Baton Rouge in particular, because we run their camps there. New Orleans, a lot of times we'd fly into, but Baton Rouge is where we'd run our camps and stuff. So New Orleans, a lot of people know what New Orleans is about. But Baton Rouge was so cool because you go get crawdaddies in Baton Rouge, in a place that's recommended by someone who lives there. It's just so cool. And
different level.
yeah, have you ever had boudin balls?
Come on, man. I've barely been out of Jersey.
So like
And I've never been to the South,
I
so
want to make sure I have it described exactly correct. What are boudin balls? Are pork sausage, rice. It's basically like a rice ball, kind of, but like Cajun seasoning. And then I also got for you. I got to get this to you. There's I don't know if he has a YouTube page, but there's a Cajun chef. He's kind of like a yoked up guy, but he's a backwoods guy, and he does all the different Cajun. He's TikTok. He's like super famous, but he must have like a YouTube thing. I watch all his stuff, man. He's got the big steamer. He cooks the crawdaddies. It's really cool. I mean, he throws Cajun seasoning on everything, and so there's nothing like it. When you go down there, when we would travel when we would fly sometimes in New Orleans and go to Baton Rouge. Hold on a second. So what I was gonna say is we went to this famous place. It's called Mittendorf's, and Mittendorf's is in the Bayou. So when you're going from New Orleans to Baton Rouge, there's a really long bridge that you travel across in order to get there. And there are some small exits on the way. So I don't know if you ever saw Shelby Stanga is. He's like they do the Gator, yeah. So he so anyway, so there's this little town that has 6 houses and this restaurant Mittendorf's. And you pull off and there's literally 6 houses and Mittendorf's. And it's like this famous place. And it's just all like Cajun foods and seafoods. It's kind of become a little bit commercialized, but it's nowhere. It's like you're driving, there's nothing. And then boom, you go in there. And there's a couple other places that the person I was with at the time when I would travel, he was like this guy Barry Every, who was our analyst. He's now at Exos, and he would I'd be like, well, what about that place? He'd be like, oh no, you can't go in there.
yeah.
He said you start talking with your Northeast accent.
It's over, bro. They're gonna eat you alive.
Pulled out on you. So I said, oh, okay. Because I'm a little adventurous when I like to go to different places that I've never been to before and eat at different places. But a couple of those, he's like, nah, you're gonna have to get ingratiated before you can go into one of those places.
Yeah, you can't be hitting that place yet, bud.
Yeah. So I just thought it was really, but it's one of my favorite places. A few times I've appeared on. This is the famous guy down in Louisiana is A-Bear, and I've appeared on his show doing different LSU analysis and Louisiana and stuff like that on their radio. And there's nothing like it, man. It's just a different place, and it's got its own culture. And I have to say, the French infusion of culture in New Orleans in Baton Rouge.
Huge.
It's cool. It's like different. When you're in America, even from the Deep South, it's different from then just even the Deep South culture. It's a twist on the Deep South. You know what I mean? When you have the French influence and in the cooking and everything, it's just unbelievable. So it's pretty cool. If people don't always, if they haven't been to anywhere outside of New Orleans, they just think of Louisiana. And they just think of like a lot of times like swamps and don't realize that there's all these really cool things there. And the rural culture is just, it's amazing. This is my last point on it. I've been to a nightclub, Coach. Okay. So we were in a camp at Dutchtown and we all went out to eat at a place. Now, do you know who the famous player is from Dutchtown? So Landon College, remember he played for the Giants?
Yeah, absolutely.
He went to Dutchtown High School.
He's with the Redskins now.
He went to Dutchtown High School, and we used to. Our very first camps were there.
Alabama boy.
Yep. And they kind of had a history of sending kids to, even though they're in Baton Rouge. So it's amazing that LSU didn't get them. They're basically the Dutchtown is Baton Rouge, but anyway, so their coach, their assistant coach, their line coach, like 6'6", he played at LSU, and they took a seat, and he goes, as soon as we get done eating, he's like, you guys go back, get dressed. We're gonna go out to nightclub for a little bit. I said, all right. So all the coaches would go, and he takes us. So we think, we're gonna go somewhere in Baton Rouge to go out, and so we get in the car, and we're driving, and we're driving, and we're driving, and now there's no lights. And we're driving, and we're driving, and we're like, what?
And we're still going.
What the heck is going on?
Where are we going?
I'm like, where are we going? And we pull up, and there's a bar. It's a barn. It's a barn, a gigantic barn. Okay, and there's cars on the side of the road. And now, like, all the guys that were with me, there were some guys that were from the South, not from Louisiana. There were guys from Texas, guys from Louisiana, the coaches that were from Louisiana, then 3 or 4 Northeast guys, okay? New Jersey guys.
Different type of nightclub.
No, so we walk in, and so we're like, oh, maybe it's like country music. Like, we just didn't know, you know what I mean? So that's what we assumed it was, because, and I actually like country music, but I just assumed that that's what it was. So we come in, and it wasn't country music. It was like, I don't want to say, it's not like electronic music, but it was like dance music, like you would go, hip hop, a mix of everything. And it was a ton of fun, but out of nowhere, there's nothing around. And then just hundreds of cars and a barn. It was wild. And one of the coaches, the head coach at Catholic High School, which is Depascale, they're probably playing for the state championship in Baton Rouge. He used to work all our events. He's the head coach there now, Gabe Furtada. For years, he was in Mississippi. Then, and he used to know places that we could go eat. And like, I'm telling you, they'd take us for these drives, and we'd be like, wow, like, where are we going? Like, all up, and there'd be people everywhere. It was wild, and it was fun. And I have to say, it was so. I've loved it. I can't tell you how many times I've been down there, and I always had fun, and it was always great athletes, and they were always respectful. So like I can't see.
What's that flight, like 6 hours?
No. Well, if you fly New Orleans, maybe 3.5, maybe. Baton Rouge usually was that you'd fly all the way to Houston,
right?
And
Houston's a big hub.
Yeah, because Baton Rouge usually direct flight to Baton Rouge is usually expensive. So we would fly into Houston and then take like a little puddle jumper. It was a puddle jumper, all right. It was a puddle jump. You go up, you'd be like, okay.
Yeah, it's one of those. That's one of those ones where you get out on the runway.
Yeah, you're like, and the only people that were taking that Houston to Baton Rouge flight were really business people, because it's not like
commercial.
Yeah, it's not
like you're traveling there.
So these guys were used to the puddle jumper, you know what I mean? But there I am. I'm like, oh my goodness, little plane. These guys are all relaxed. They probably do it like every day.
Yeah. Those are the guys that fly, those are the guys that fly friggin' to Philly and shit.
Because there's oil fields and stuff like there out.
The entire Gulf is tons of that stuff.
Yeah, the entire Gulf. Not as much New Orleans, but like when you get out towards the water, and then when you get going towards the west, towards East Texas, that you start to get that as well. But it's just a unique place. I mean, I could tell stories for hours. I've been to Shreveport.
Well, you have LSU, you have Tulane, you have Southern Miss.
Tulane is New Orleans.
You have Southern. You have So what is it? So LSU, and you have Raging Cajuns.
Yeah, Louisiana Tech, which is in Ruston, which is a small. I've never even been there. It's small, small town. I'm trying to think of what's in Shreveport. Shreveport is where the what's that major bowl? Liberty Bowl. I don't know if it's called the Liberty Bowl anymore, but it was the Liberty Bowl. Huge stadium there. I don't know what college is there, though. I don't know. I guess they're closer to Louisiana Tech, maybe, but I'm not 100% certain. It's definitely West Louisiana, and Shreveport, which would be close to East Texas. Shreveport was one of the most unique cities I've ever been to. It's small downtown. I stayed downtown. This beautiful hotel. And then there was a restaurant right next door, and I was very surprised at the restaurant that was next door because it was a place that you wouldn't expect next to their nicest hotel. I'll leave it like that. and then I said, they have casinos, but you had to go to Bossier is the town next to Shreveport where they allowed the casinos.
Oh.
And it's like a casino, like little casino city. And it's wild. It's wild.
I just like the influence of French culture and all that kind of stuff. I just think that's so cool. Kind of like in Florida, you have a little bit of, up in like, St. Augustine and stuff where you have a lot of Spanish culture and that type of stuff. Like, I think that.
St. Augustine in Florida, you talk about. Yes. So St. Augustine, it's funny because I've been to so many places because of NUC Sports that
that's why I always say other
than the Northwest, which I don't know that well. I wish I knew Montana. I wish I knew Wyoming. I don't care as much about Washington, even though you love Washington. And I would like to go to Oregon because Oregon is supposed to be pretty cool. And we used to run events in those. We still run Washington, but we used to run Oregon. That's where we found Colt Lyurla, who played for Oregon.
I just think seeing the whole, just not just the state itself, but like just go to the University of Oregon and see Nike and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's probably phenomenal.
I mean, and not to mention to be around
it's like a forest. I've seen. That's why I like to go because this is how I am. I know it's like it got all this forest,
right? Just greenery.
Yeah, greenery. Like that's why I'd be.
Plus, my pseudo infatuation with Steve Prefontaine.
That's a great sports movie. There's two Prefontaine movies. People don't realize
underrated. That. The one with what's his name?
There's one that is better than the other. You're right. I can't remember which one's which though.
I think the one is not the one. It's based on him, but I'm trying to think. It has a different name. Like the name of the movie is something. You know what I mean? There's like a name to it. It's based on Steve Prefontaine, but the movie itself has a different title. That's the one that I like, and it's got. I'm trying to think of who's. Come on.
He does. One of them has a more famous actor, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's the guy that plays Bill Bowerman in the movie is the
that's the one that's better. That's Sutherland. Sutherland plays Bill Bowerman.
Yes, that's what I'm looking at. Yeah, and that is.
And the girl is kind of a famous actor and actress now. I think she became the girl who plays his girlfriend in it.
The story itself, his story.
Oh yeah. Well, the conspiracy theorists of the world said that he was taken out.
Well, I mean,
Do you know about those conspiracies?
And I'm one of those people that loves that. I love that stuff. Not that I buy into it or whatever. I think conspiracy theories are awesome.
So, do you know what the conspiracy theory is on him, or do you know it, or no?
Because he was such an outspoken against the, amateur athletes being paid and being used and whatnot, that, ultimately the government took him out to shut him up.
The word is that he was going to expose corruption within
the ranks of, Olympic committees and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Amateurism and
that's what
car accident. There's my second question of the show. Car accident.
Yeah. So that's what
On a
everybody said.
random road for someone who never drank or never did any of that, and you want to
See that I didn't know because even the movie paints him at like he did drink, but you're
they
saying
paint him as kind of a partier, but totally, I don't know. Look,
I don't
the
know.
fact that and look, you're a track guy, maybe not so much a distance guy as others, but like the fact that all these guys are talking about pace yourself, and he's like, dude, if I'm gonna win, I'm gonna just go all out.
He was a dog. Yeah, he was definitely he was great.
Some of those races where he ran like where his shoes were all screwed up, his feet are bleeding.
Bloody. Oh. His movie is a movie like that. Like he was friends with like the football players. Like he wasn't like a normal. He wasn't like a runner that was like oh my God, here comes the football players. Like those guys respected him.
Right.
Like he hung out with like the shot putters and the discus throwers. Like he was like
they just at first he came off as some arrogant, cocky, pompous, you know what I mean? Like, but then once they saw like the work that he put into it and like how much he cared and the lengths of things that how far he was willing to go for all that stuff, they were like, dude, like, damn, you know what I mean? Like, okay, this works. Like, I'll take this guy on my team, you know what I mean?
No doubt about it. It's great. That movie's a great movie. I love how everything comes back to movies. But if you ever get to Louisiana, go somewhere outside of New Orleans. Okay, even New Orleans is great. Don't get me wrong. In the year 2000, I had a good time that I prefer not to share, but I allowed year 2000. And New Orleans is great, but you get to like Baton Rouge, man. Listen, I'll tell you the towns I've been to: Baton Rouge. This is Louisiana, Shreveport, obviously New Orleans. I've been to Lutcher, so I think that's how you say it, Lutcher. Lutcher. It was the first time that I ever pulled off into a town, and I was representing a really great player. And they have all kinds of great players. It's the same place that who's the great receiver from he's on the Browns now, from LSU. Not
Landry.
Jarvis Landry, who came to our camp, by the way. Jarvis Landry went to Lutcher High School. And
Without Limits is the other movie. That's the one that I like. Yes.
Yep.
That's with Donald Sutherland plays Bowerman. But go ahead, my bad.
Yep, absolutely. That's it. So Lutcher.
Wow, Tom Cruise produced that?
No, I didn't know that.
Wow. Okay, go ahead. Anyway, back to Jarvis Landry.
So Lutcher High School, which has a lot of really great players that have come out of there. Once you pull off the highway into Lutcher, and it's a residential, like regular residential area, have houses and whatever. And as you pull in to Lutcher, the first thing there is there's a gas station, and you can fill up your gas. They have like a food thing, like you get food, like there's little restaurants, and it's kind of almost like the best way I can analogize it for other people, maybe like a Wawa or a truck stop almost kind of thing. But along with it, it was a casino. So you come off.
So
So you get gas, you can get yourself some food, and right next door there's a casino. And it's like it's not like a casino like you think of with hotels. It's just straight go in and like slots and all that kind of stuff. And it's like a little casino in this town, residential town. So I was like, man, Louisiana is the greatest. Like, where else you gonna have that? And when you go in Baton Rouge, you go to casino in Baton Rouge. The casino is on the Mississippi River. So when you go, you don't go into a casino like you think and that might be why the casino in Bossier, maybe they have some sort of rule on that has to be a riverboat. I'm not 100% sure. But I know in Baton Rouge, definitely the casino has to be on the water. So you go and or it used to be. So you go in, like there's a the parking lot is along the water, and then you walk into the casino. And when you walk into the casino, you're walking a bit, and then you're on the water and you're on the riverboat casino. It's wild. It like from the outside, some of the older casinos they have there, they make it look like the old riverboat casinos. Like, you know, I mean, like
cool.
they attach a riverboat to the structure. It's wild.
That's cool.
It is cool. It's different. It's totally different.
Definitely have to figure out how to get down there at some point.
And they also have automatic tickets with traffic lights that blink when you go. If you go through a red light, like there's
not going to ask why you know that, but
yeah, you automatically get a ticket.
I can assume the reason
if you've accidentally run a red light or you were speeding, it just shows up at your house.
One or the other.
Just shows up at your house. So there you go.
Awesome.
Oh man, so I guess I think we've covered most of the things today, which is. Oh, do you want to go through your picks for college games?
Picks for college games. Let me see. I'll pull it up. Let's pull up what we got. I mean,
if I know about it, I can pick it. If I don't, I can't.
We can do some. Let's do a little top 25 picks. We can do top 25. Let's see what we got. Okay, let's pull them up. Let's see. I know Bama's got Arkansas this weekend.
That's a foregone conclusion. What's the points on that? Let's
see what we got. Yeah, I'm gonna go in no particular order. Just games I think are interesting. Arizona, okay. Arizona State.
That's tonight. That's now. Or in an hour.
Arizona State is favored 9.5.
Who are you taking? Arizona.
I'll go Herm Edwards, Arizona State.
With the points?
With the points.
I'm with you.
9.5. All right, let's check out some action tomorrow. Just some random games. No, I don't like that one. How about Michigan State, Penn State? Penn State is favored 15.
Penn State's favored by 15 over Michigan State?
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of points.
The over-under is 47.
Michigan State must be bad.
They must be really bad.
I think I'd take Penn State then.
Yeah, I like that. Alabama, Arkansas. Alabama favored by 32.
I I'd take Alabama.
Here's a good one, which is a little awkward starting time of 12 o'clock for a West Coast game. You got Utah, Colorado. Colorado's favored by 1. Undefeated Colorado, I believe, right?
Utah hasn't played many games. That's
none.
I'd take Colorado on that one.
Yep. Let's see what are some other interesting ones we could pull.
Georgia, Mississippi. I'm not Mississippi, Missouri.
Yeah, that's one. So that is Georgia, Missouri. Georgia's favored 13.5.
I might take Missouri. I think maybe Missouri on that. I think Georgia's going to win, but Georgia doesn't score a bunches of points, do they? I mean,
here's one sticking with our boys from Coastal Carolina, Troy. Coastal Carolina is favored 13.5.
I don't know anything about Troy.
Me neither.
To be honest.
Army-Navy spread. Army is favored by 7.5.
7.5.
Over under 37.5. I'll take Army and the under.
I think I agree with you on that one. How about Iowa, Wisconsin?
I got to go with my boy.
Wisconsin?
Wisconsin -2.
Wisconsin's got to be better than they're playing.
Here's a horrible.
I take Iowa.
Here's the worst of the worst SEC matchup. Tennessee, Vanderbilt.
How many points for Van?
14.
14? Take. Well, that somehow Vandy always plays. Well, let me think about this for a second, because I got to think about this whole controversy. How it affected them. I think Vandy's going to play. They only have 45 scholarship players. I mean, I don't know. They're Tennessee's.
And Jersey boy, former Bergen Catholic quarterback is out at Tennessee.
He's out, meaning they benched him. Does that mean they benched him?
Yeah, he's done.
All right, so I'm taking Tennessee. He's done, huh? They benched him just because of the performance, or
true freshman playing. Yeah,
I'm going to take Tennessee because they're going to probably do everything they can to support that kid.
Speaking of, are you going to take the state that you just spent the whole segment talking about, or Florida? So you got LSU, Florida. Florida's favored 23.5.
Take Florida. LSU has no defense.
Over under 68.5.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I don't know. Because if they get up like 45-14.
Right. Are they just going to shut it down?
Exactly.
Here's another huge rivalry game this weekend. Yeah. This weekend, USC, UCLA. UCLA underdogs 3.
USC is undefeated, right? UCLA, you said, is underdog 3. Oh, UCLA is so close.
Is this the game that Chip Kelly needs?
It is. I think they could. I'm going to take UCLA.
Yeah, I like that pick.
They've been close a couple of times. They're almost there. He needs this win. I mean,
that would be big. This would be a very big win for him. This could be the one he needs.
How about Auburn, Mississippi State?
I'm going, my boy.
I think Mississippi State's going to get trounced.
No, I'm taking Mississippi State plus the 6.5, and I'm taking the over 49.5 because it's Mike Leach.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean they do both give a point. So, what other game?
How about this one? This is a nice game, and I don't know if it's when's the 19th next weekend. Yeah. Looking forward to this one. Oklahoma, Iowa State.
Oklahoma, Iowa State.
That's got to be the Big 12 championship game, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And then you got Northwestern, Ohio State in the Big 10 championship. These are the set your stage for next week, so get prepared. Notre Dame, Clemson in the ACC championship because Notre Dame was declared as part of the ACC this year. Florida, Alabama in the SEC. And then you got Cincinnati and Tulsa.
That's good stuff. Wow, look how many cancellations. Ole Miss is canceled.
Yep.
Cincinnati, Tulsa, Oklahoma, West Virginia, Purdue, Indiana, Texas, Kansas. Oh, Texas, Kansas. That must have just happened. Incarnate Word, which I didn't even know was Division I, Arkansas State, Miami, Ohio, Bowling Green, Washington, Oregon. Wow. All right, so those are the picks. I think that's a wrap. And final thoughts for the week?
10 shows down.
10 shows. For some reason, it looks like the shirt I'm wearing, I have what do you call them, pads? Shoulder pads on.
What is this, the 80s?
Exactly.
Is this Pretty Woman? What's the movie? Wall Street with Charlie Sheen?
Wall Street? Charlie Sheen?
The original.
Oh, man, that movie is great.
What's that? Who's that? Who's the
Mike Douglas.
Yes. That dude's a savage.
This dog shit stock. Stop giving me this dog shit stock.
What's his name in the movie? He's
Gordon Gekko. Gordon Gekko, man.
Such a bad person.
That is a great movie, man. He's a bad guy / good guy.
He plays that role so well.
Yeah, he's a bad guy, but you like him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you're actually like
that's a very underrated movie, I think.
Yeah. And Charlie Sheen is a good guy, but you really don't like him. Think about it. You really don't love Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen's dad, who is
a good guy,
is a really good guy. He's the aircraft.
He works on the plane. Yeah,
you like him, But Charlie Sheen, even though he does a really good thing in the end,
He's a bad guy through the whole thing.
but he's a bad guy. Like he's the good guy, but he's a bad guy. And then Daryl Hannah playing the girlfriend.
She's good.
Can you you know what we forgot when we were doing comedies? We just left out, by the way, the one of the best comedians of all time and all of his movies. I thought about this after. Do you know who it is? John Candy.
Oh, phenomenal. Uncle Buck.
Oh my
My
God.
favorite of his movies is Summer Rental.
Summer Rental's beyond hilarious.
When he gets sunburned, it's over.
Oh, when that movie came out and we were going to Summer Rental, my father's like, this movie, I think we went, I was at a summer camp and we went to it like on a rainy day. My father said, this movie has like 0 stars, but you will love it. I came out and I said, this thing is the greatest. Oh, how about The Great Outdoors with Dan Aykroyd?
One of the best movies of all time.
What is it? What's the steak? The old
96er.
no. Our podcast, as good as we are at sports, we might be better with movies.
A lot of people like him in, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Fantastic movie. That's with Steve Martin.
Who's that? Steve Martin? Yeah, I'm not a big Steve Martin fan, but
there's Steve. You know what? Steve Martin's really funny, but he plays a lot of times the straight guy, even though he's funny. It's kind of like,
right.
I mean, he's a comic genius. Like people talk about like him, like he's like.
Well, his Father of the Bride series is.
Father of the Bride is like and you probably you're younger than me, so I was probably what, a teenager maybe, or in my 20s, and you might have been like everybody's like, that's the kind of girl you want to be like your wife, when you like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
she's like sweet, she's nice, she's cute, hasn't aged as well in real life, but
I'll still go down and put and we didn't even talk about Weekend at Bernie's is probably one of the funniest movies in the history of.
Great movie. Weekend at Bernie's with C. Thomas Howell. No, C. Thomas Howell.
Is that him? The guy that plays Larry is just ridiculous.
Is right. Larry's the.
He's not the straight edge one. He's the other one.
Yes, Larry's the guy who wears right. He comes with all the schemes.
Yeah, and he's always got something. He's what if we just pretend? And the whole thing is he's so upset about the whole situation. Is the thing he's most upset about is how he, in the letter, he talked about that he wanted a sex change, and he was so upset. Like the only thing he was concerned with was that aspect of it.
Oh, Weekend Bernie's is so great, and
he's like I'm all for maybe recreational, but this is a career, when they find all the jobs.
And I love just the that must have been 90s, late 80s.
That's the same element as Wall Street and all that 80s stockbroker, New York City era with Wolf of Wall Street, all that kind of these guys were just lunatics.
Listen, that's what I wanted to be. When I first came out of high school, I was trying to live
that lifestyle.
I wanted to be Wall Street. Nicole probably would be like, what do you, how did that go?
I mean, you think about it, the guy invites him, it's Labor Day weekend, and the guy invites him, hey, come to my house in the Hamptons. Okay. What is it? Oh, it's a floating party. Okay.
Oh, it was so great. That movie, I was just laughing so hard. And the straight guy's hilarious. He's not trying to be hilarious, but
no, and he's just trying to be what?
No, it's not C. Thomas Howell. It's Jonathan. No, was his name Jonathan in that? Because he's trying to impress that girl, right? He's trying to impress that girl.
Gwen. Yeah, Gwen.
Oh, God. What's the John Candy movie? It's a great one too, where he plays the detective. Is that Uncle Buck? No. Where he plays the
No, Uncle Buck is where he's the uncle and he comes and has to stay with him because her father has a stroke. He's the brother.
Oh, what is the movie? Hold on, let's see.
It's Andrew McCarthy and Jonathan Silverman.
Yeah, Jonathan Silverman. That's it. Jonathan Silverman. Andrew McCarthy. Yep. Who's Harry Crumb? Did you see that? He plays all the different characters.
Yes. That's an underrated one of John Candy's movies.
Underrated. He's so silly in it. It's like he comes in all these different characters and these voices. Oh, and you know what he was in? How about this one? You definitely saw this. Did you ever see Splash?
Oh, great movie. Tom Hanks, man.
Tom Hanks.
And what's her name? She was an original 80s stud.
I said Daryl Hannah. My Apple Watch pulled up Daryl Hannah.
That's interesting. Listen, how about Spaceballs?
Well, that's just Mel Brooks in general. All his movies are silly. Blazing Saddles.
John Candy, you're talking Stripes.
Stripes was with Bill Murray. But then you're getting towards the Caddyshack realm there, which you don't like.
You're right. Not my world.
Not your world. But John Candy, that Weekend at Bernie's was just such a classic.
Yeah, and just nothing. Armed and Dangerous, one of my favorites too.
Armed and Dangerous. What was that about?
That's where he's he's a cop, but he loses his job and he becomes a security guy.
Oh yes.
What's his name? His the other guy.
He was killing it, man. John Candy.
Way too young.
Summer
died in 1994.
You know what I loved about all his movies? He always got the pretty girl.
Right. And he had no right.
No right. Like he's like Summer Rental, his wife's like pretty. And he's like, 400 pounds. You know what I mean? He was great.
That's the same. Is that the same girl from Great Outdoors? Is it the same one?
Blonde,
I don't think so.
Blonde, I think. Great comedian.
Great Outdoors is phenomenal, though.
Great Outdoors is so.
Anybody who's ever went and spent a week at a lake or something like that, or has ever had family, you know what I mean, like that dynamic, like it's just it fits right in, and you're just like, oh, you're right. Oh, you're right.
Did I ever tell you about when we booked? We went to Lake George. This was 2 years ago.
Love Lake George.
Yep, my first year at RBR. I probably didn't tell you this story. We went because we kind of booked it last second. It was that weekend before we came in for camp.
The week where we usually shut down, give them off, and then come back.
Yep. So we went to Lake George, and we said we'll try something different. So we booked a place that was supposed to be a resort north. Yeah, right. Like North Lake George in the woods. Okay.
Okay. Oh my
God. It reminded me of Great Outdoors.
And
I don't know that Nicole seen it, so I couldn't analogous it to her. It was one of those times that I wished I was like the Great Outdoors, like I was there with you and your girlfriend, like we were, you know what I'm saying? So we could actually
you're like, I can't believe this is happening.
So she booked it because she thought the lake, it had a private lake access, right? Which it did. And it did have private lake access. So we pull in, and it's kind of like a mom and pop place, but it looks good, like
an Airbnb.
Like you got a mini golf thing over here, and then you got so we come in. And Troy's 3 or maybe 4. So he goes 4. He goes, I gotta go to the bathroom. So Nicole's checking in. I'm like, where's the bathroom? They're like, you gotta go upstairs and over. So I go, I take him through this maze, and there's a woman in the one laundry room they have there doing laundry, and I'm like, oh man. I'm like, the bathroom's in the laundry room, right? So we go through the laundry room, take them to the bathroom. I'm like, it's a little.
This resort is someone's house.
It's a little classic. That would be the word. No, but it's not like that. It's like the you check in. There's a house, okay, and then there's houses all the way up, kind of the like landscape.
Like
so you got to go up. It's like a little like
so it looks over.
It looks over the lake. So the first thing we pulled in, we're like, the road where the beach is, you got to go across the street. So the beach is there, but there's it's not it's a local road, but people are whipping 60 miles an hour down it. So you got to cross it to go to your private beach every time. The girl was freaking out. So I'm like, let's just try. Well, I think we were only staying for like a night or two, because we're staying somewhere. We stayed somewhere. We stayed with friends the first 3 nights, and we're like, let's go up here for a night or two. So we go and we come to our cabin. Really nice, like you would think it would be. And this is all pre-COVID. Now you probably wouldn't stay there, but like it was nice. It was very rushed. We're like, it's nice. So Troy goes to bed, and we hear all this like noise and singing, and like, but it's not singing like a real band. It's like you or I singing, and it's person after person, and it's loud. So on the front lawn is a karaoke party. It's like a karaoke party, and they have like snacks, and like the songs are going on. You hear these just terrible voices echoing throughout the community. A full-fledged karaoke. So I'm like, I'll just sit out here, I'll read a book and go to bed. So there you go. I go to bed. Well, it's one before I decide to go to bed. I'm like, what? It's one big bed, so we have to sleep in one big bed, one huge bed with Troy. And so I'm like, what? I'll go. There's like those jacuzzi tubs.
Yeah,
it's beautiful, right? Like I'm like, this is great. I'm not gonna go in the shower. I go in this jacuzzi tub, fill it up, and I fall asleep while laying in there. Water's everywhere. Everywhere. So I'm like, I don't want to clean. I don't want to wake anybody up. So I just get all the towels. The next morning, Nicole's like, "Where's the towels?"
You're like,
I used them all to dry. There's water. So like, all right, we're gonna go to the beach. We go to the beach. We're like, maybe we'll rent the boat or whatever. The boat rates were really expensive, so we're like, let's. No. So we try to sit at the beach. This beach. We're coming towards like the like where the chairs would be. It's just for the people in our. And I'm looking at people. I'm like, I'm not exactly the slimmest person,
but this is a different level.
This is like
people of Walmart.
This is not the Jersey Shore. Let's put it like that. This is not the Jersey Shore.
You're upstate New York.
And then there's like these random dirty toys. It was the random dirty toys in the beach were so dirty that I was like, Troy, don't touch them. And I don't even care about dirt. Like
this is pre-COVID.
I don't think you should touch those. He's like, oh, I'm like, no, don't touch it. Don't go in the water. This is pre-COVID. Okay.
Well, at least you got one of those experiences under your belt.
Don't go in the water. By the end of the day, like Nicole was like, can we just get out of here? It was funny. The only thing that was great was the food, actually. It was a tiny town, and they had a restaurant that was in a firehouse. It was actually a cool idea.
Oh, that's cool.
It was pretty good. And we had breakfast at a general store, which actually
those are the best.
Was great. Was fantastic. It was actually fantastic.
Those are the best. That's real cooking.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic. But here's the funny thing about that. So we go to general store and there were clothes on the second floor. Remember we went to Hadley? Remember your place in the woods in Lake George?
Yeah.
Lake George? That was North Lake George. It was North Lake George. So Nicole's like, oh, I'll go look at the
As Nicole's having flashbacks right now and having
she's horror. So as she goes upstairs, let me see what the boutique is
boutique. Okay.
The boutique was like rooms with stuff in it. It was so strange.
Yeah, like hoarders.
It was hoarders. That's what it was. It was hoarders. It was hoarders. It's one of those. The people were great in the town. The little park they had was nice. When I went for a walk in the woods, it was great. I was a little worried about maybe bears getting.
It's like the movie with Chevy Chase, Funny Farm.
Funny Farm. I saw it, but I don't remember it. I remember
Flash. Guy and they moved to the freaking middle of nowhere.
I didn't see that. No, I definitely got to see that one again. But anyway, so that's my story. You're gonna have to come. You're gonna have to get a couple. You're gonna have to take. The Jersey Shore is so much fun that when you go to these other places, different experiences. Like I love Lake George, but that was a totally
not Lake George experience.
I mean, it was on the lake.
With dirty toys. With dirty toys and karaoke, but
anyway,
right,
I'll talk to you. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for listening and sticking with us because it's a lot of fun.
Next week.
You got it.